Right. So yeah, so wide variety of chemicals. So our entire fossil fuel industry, जिसमें से पूरा petrol पूरी दुनिया को supply होता है, it's all organic chemistry. Why is fossil fuel organic? Well, how did we get fossil fuels? Well, millions of years ago, species and forests and anything living that was alive once died and they got buried underground. Over time, all that decayed matter, उसमें से सिर्फ oil and carbon essence बचे, right? And we extracted that and we got a lot of fossil fuels have all kinds of chemicals in them. We extracted petrol and gas and everything out of it, and we use it, we burn it. It's a good source of energy. Yeah. Okay, with that said, let's take a look at what organic is. So organic chemistry centers around carbon-based molecules. Why is it carbon-based? Because carbon is a special kind of element. It's very diverse. हम carbon आज से देखते हुए आए हैं कि बस वो जलता है, बड़ा अच्छा जलता है. Actually, no. Everything living has a lot of carbon in them. All complicated molecules from proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates has carbon in the name. All of these are carbon-based, and we'll see that eventually in either organic or polymers के chapter में कि ये इस तरीके से carbon किस तरह होता है. The carbon is essentially acts as a Lego piece. This is a simple carbon atom. As you see, how many bonds can carbon make? If I ask you guys, can someone let me know? Type it out in the chat. How many bonds can carbon make? Yeah. So Ramin is saying 4. She's right. Here is for you guys the most simplest of hydrocarbons. Okay. It's called methane. ठीक है, what is methane? Well, it's natural gas, जो आपके sweet gas वगैरह जो चूल्हों में जल रही होती है, it's methane, CH4. ठीक है, this is what it looks like if I try to draw the bonds for it. This is the simplest hydrocarbon or organic molecule we see. I also use the word hydrocarbon. Most organic molecules will be hydrocarbons. What is a hydrocarbon, you may ask? It's essentially a molecule with carbon and hydrogen in it. Anything that doesn't have, if there's a molecule with carbon and hydrogen, maybe oxygen as well, it's not a hydrocarbon anymore. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up. Everyone can hear, understand fine. Yeah. 2 people get it. 4 people get it. Anas, Ahmed, Abdullah. Okay. All right. Let's continue. So what's special about carbon is not only can it make 4 bonds, it really ends up acting as a sorry. Right. Okay. Carbon really acts as a Lego piece for molecule. Why is that the case? Or how does that happen? Here's the second molecule that is right after methane. The second simplest, I guess. ठीक है, इस तरीके से. This is called ethane. And इसका molecular formula क्या होगा? C2H6. Why do I say that? Of course, there are 2 carbons and 6 hydrogens around it. ठीक है, pretty straightforward. ठीक है. Now you see that carbon, essentially दो carbons आपस में जुड़ गए and every other bond they had was given to hydrogen. So you can have two carbons, you could have three, you could have 4, 5, 8, 16, 200, 2000, right? You're literally, your body is made up of these long, long chains of carbons like this. Lambi, lambi chains hoti hain, and they're all connected. They might branch out. Your DNA, your cells, everything is some form of this sort of Lego pieces of carbon joining together. उसमें different compounds भी लगे होते हैं, nitrogen होता है, oxygen होता है, but this is how it works. Yeah. So it's very important to start coming up with a scheme. अब यहाँ पे क्योंकि randomly कोई भी carbon लग जाएगा, एक नया naming system हमें चाहिए, right? इनको highlight करने के लिए, जैसे हम पहले naming system क्या करते थे, अगर carbon dioxide को बात कर रहे हैं तो we said, well, this is carbon and there are two oxygens, so let's call them dioxide. So this is a naming convention. It's pretty simple. It's just the name's telling you what it is, carbon and two oxygens. Okay. Over here, what do? It can get very complicated, but you realize hydrogen को count करना इतना जरूरी. Essentially, carbons आपके पास line में होंगे. So carbon की count is very important, right? So here's our first understanding of the naming convention, that we have number of carbons. And उसके लिए word क्या use करता है उसके name में, उसे highlight करने को. The name is added before, so it's called a prefix. And you could have one carbon, you could have two carbon, you could have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some people do less than this, some people do more than this, but let's see what we're talking about. If you have one carbon only in a molecule, it will have meth in the name. It'll start with the word meth. जिस तरह हमने methane को देखा. If it has two, it'll start with eth. If you have 3, it'll start with prop. If you have 4, it'll start with bute. After this, it becomes increasingly easy. Why? Let me know if you see a pattern. Okay. I think after the first 4, it becomes very easy because you see a pattern. All of these are essentially names of shapes, aren't they? 8-sided shape क्या होता है? Octagon. 6-sided क्या होता है? Hexagon. Those of you who don't know 7-sided shape क्या होता है? Heptagon. So the words are borrowed from there. Pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon. ठीक है? You probably know this and this and this. Pentagon is that, very famous building in Washington. Heptagon लोगों को ज़्यादातर नहीं पता होगा, and ये दो नहीं पता होंगे, but I mean, once you know, you can't forget it. 9, 10, right? Why is it called dec and not 10 or something like that? Is the word dec is used a lot. You know about the decimal system. The decimal system has dec in it because the decimal system it's a number system that counts up to 10, then repeats. So it's based 10, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. 11, 12, 13, 14. You go on. Tarboos, can you mute yourself? Your microphone's on, and welcome. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I know it's, for some, it might be like those who've studied a lot of organic, it's pretty simple. What's with 4? What do you mean 4? Ahmed Safwan, what are you asking? What's with 4? Whenever you're ready. Okay, pretty simple, right? Okay. So अभी हमने molecules देखे, any straight chained carbon जिस तरीके से हमने देखे are called alkanes. We'll deal with them a little closely, but why am I mentioning it right now is this is the word you use to talk about these carbons. So anytime I'm talking about one carbon atom which has nothing impressive, it's simple carbon hydrocarbon, it will be called meth to highlight it's one, and because it's a simple hydrocarbon, it's ane, methane. इस वजह से मैंने उसका नाम methane पहले लिखा था, and that's its name. Then you have ethane. Then you have, let's actually move it here. So let's draw the first six hydrocarbons. Which is methane, ethane. You guys can start. ये दो तो बना चुके हैं हम लोग. Third one is propane, whatever you want to call it, butane. Alkenes की अभी मैं बात करूंगा. क्या? Pentane and hexane. Now it's a lot of people, इस तरीके से उल्टा सीधा बना लेते हैं. Try and getting in the habit of making like nice hydrocarbons. It's also gonna help you enjoy your organic chemistry more. So I don't have any structure, so I'm making a line. अब मैं क्या करता हूँ, हर कार्बन को equally spaced बना देता हूँ, right? I'll make a line in the middle. That's 5, 6. थोड़ी practice चाहिए होती है, but सही हो जाता. ठीक है? Carbons मैंने बना लिए. After that, I just have to add hydrogens. I'm trying my best to keep all these lines consistent. Hydrogens. मैंने hexane बनाया है because I was being a little lazy. What I'll do is एक कम कॉपी करके सब पे लगाता हूँ. Clearly, I'm cheating. But I've drawn way too many hydrocarbons in my life. Okay. First two we've already drawn, so I don't think people have issues with it. Let's take a look at propane. 3 carbons and hydrogens around it. 4 carbons, hydrogens all around it. Okay. Can we do another thing? Can we write the molecular formula for all of these? इस तरह CH4 methane का लिखा था हमने. CH4, C2H6, C3H8, C5H10. Anyone have any questions right now? C5H12. Let me know if I'm making a mistake anywhere. 14. Let me know, type in done in the chat if you guys are done. Let me know if you guys are done. Will we simplify the formula for ethane? What do you mean, Tarboos? Can you unmute and just ask your question? I'm not going to ask you to unmute in case you didn't hear me. Just ask your question. Ethane is C2H6, yeah. What do you mean simplified? This is called a molecular formula. Molecular formulas only give you the count. जिस समय CO2 bonding show नहीं करता है. यहाँ पे हम structure बना के show कर रहे हैं. It's not simplification, it's just a different thing. You could think of it as simplification. That's fine. Okay, I think we're good. I think I can move on. Everyone okay with no one's really spamming the chat, anything. So it might result in a very boring class if people aren't saying anything. Okay, I think I'll move on. All right. Now, normally I would ask people to, give them a challenge. Okay, ye likh diya, ye likh diya. But I think let's talk about other molecules, other types of molecules aside from alkanes. So you can draw this out, try to take a complete page, and we'll draw it together. There are four main families of organic molecules that we study. Hoti to bahut zyada hain, but we'll focus on four. एक तो आपने देख लिया. They're called alkanes. The other one is alkenes. Third is alcohols. Fourth is carboxylic acids. Now, alkanes ko normally consider karte hain. Now I'm saying what the book is saying. These are four types or four families of organic molecules. But it's better to see them as like alkane, not as a family. Alkane bas simple Lavaris, molecule hota hai. It's just a straight chain. It has nothing going on for it. So it's bilkul basic. Alkene is a slight mod on alkanes or like a slight tweak. उसमें एक चीज होती है जो alkanes में नहीं होती. Alcohols भी alkanes का ही mod होते हैं. तो सब जो है इससे निकलते हैं. Alkanes का एक slight tweak मैं कर दूं और मैं बताऊंगा क्या tweak करते हैं. तो उससे जो है alkenes बन जाएगा, उससे alcohols बन जाएगा, उससे carboxylic acid बन जाएगा. ठीक है. So just to understand it better, we'll talk about 3 carbon molecules. कौन-कौन से हैं? Well, the basic one over here is propane, which we've already seen. ठीक है. So when I said they're all based on alkanes, they're very similar to alkanes. That's why I copied it, and I'll just change it. Say it. So this is called, you already know it, it's called propane. So मैंने इसका नाम हल्का सा लिख दिया. अब क्या चीज डिफरेंट होती है इनमें? It's called a functional group. Alkenes do not have a functional group, तो यहाँ पे लिखने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. Alkenes में क्या functional group होता है? It is a carbon-carbon double bond. ठीक है. So where will I draw this carbon-carbon double bond? I'll draw it यहाँ पे. And you might be asking, why did I remove the 2 hydrogens? Well, each carbon can only make 4 bonds. तो अगर मैंने यहाँ पे डबल बॉन्ड लगा दिया, तो इस कार्बन के कितने बॉन्ड्स हो गए? 1 2 3 4. तो वो हाइड्रोजन मैंने इसका हटा दिया. इस कार्बन के कितने बॉन्ड्स हो गए? 1 2 3 4. इसका मैंने हाइड्रोजन हटा दिया, जो 5वां था. ठीक है. अल्कोहल्स में क्या फंक्शनल ग्रुप होता है? It is a hydroxy group or OH. वो मैं कहाँ लगाऊंगा? यहाँ पे एंड पे लगा दिया मैंने. What is the functional group? Carboxylic acids. It's carbon with 2 oxygens and an OH. Sorry, a double bonded oxygen and an OH. तो वो किस तरह लगता है? इस तरीके से. These are the 4 family of hydrocarbons that we focus on. ठीक है. Now, इसके अलावा 1 2 और आप देखेंगे, कभी कभार रिएक्शन होता है तो एक प्रोडक्ट बन जाता है, जैसे क्लोरोएल्केन, हैलोजेनोएल्केन्स आप देखते हैं, आगे जाके अमीनो एसिड्स आएगा, एमाइंस आ जाएंगे, बट वो ऐसा ऐसा आएंगे. बट इनके ऊपर सिलेबस है, लिटरली दीज आर द 4 सब चैप्टर्स फॉर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री. ठीक है. नाउ इसका नाम प्रोपेन क्यों था? क्योंकि ये 3 कार्बन्स हैं और ये एल्केन है, तो नाम इसका यहां से आ रहा है. तो व्हाट इज द सफिक्स फॉर दिस? इट इज एन. द सफिक्स इज एन. एल्केन का क्या सफिक्स होता है? इन होता है. अल्कोहल्स का क्या सफिक्स होता है? ऑल. सफिक्स इज अ वर्ड दैट इज एडेड एट द एंड ऑफ अ नेम, राइट? कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड्स का क्या होता है?
सर कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड्स में ऑक्सीजन के साथ डबल बॉन्ड है, लेकिन कार्बन जो है 4 बॉन्ड्स ही बना सकता है, तो इसमें तो 5 हो रहे हैं कार्बन के.
हाँ, मैं मिटाना भूल गया. You're right.
ओके सर.
See it? Sorry, forgot to erase it. You're right. And this is a common error, by the way. चलो, glad I made it, I guess. Because carbon के ऊपर जब हम हाइड्रोक्स इस तरह लगाते हैं, we always leave a bond. इस तरह, like anyone starting organic chemistry makes this issue a lot. So don't make the same mistakes I made. Right? तो अब सबके नाम के क्या होंगे? क्या होंगे? On the left, it's propane. It's already named. This is going to be propene. ठीक है. What's going to be alcohol? It's 3 carbon propanol. So वो सिर्फ all नहीं, it's like technically it's anol, but whatever, right? Propanol would mean an alcohol with 3 carbons. And the last one is propanoic acid. Propanoic acid. Pretty cool. Now, one question people might have is, भाई यहाँ पे तो आपने लगा दिया, बड़ा अच्छा काम किया, अगर यहाँ पे लगा देते तो, right? Like इस तरह लगा देता और ये नहीं करता. It's the same thing. Why do I want it at the end? It just looks nicer. And every time I'm reacting something, तो क्या होगा, मैं end पे कुछ change करना पसंद करूंगा, शुरू में कुछ करना पसंद नहीं करूंगा. Another reason is because it actually looks good when you put it at the end. Why? Because OH को अगर मैं पहले लगाने की कोशिश करूंगा, वो किस तरह हो जाएगा, इस तरह हो जाएगा, and it just looks a little weird, so people don't put it. I've noticed how OH उल्टा लिखा हुआ है. Why? Because the carbon is actually bonded to the oxygen, then bonded to the hydrogen. Same as over here, but ये तमीज़ से हम लिख सकते हैं. I don't have to worry about it. But if you write like carbon and OH like this is wrong. So it's just safe practice to keep it over here. आपकी गलतियां कम हो जाएंगी, chances can. Right? And that's why it's preferred to keep it on the end. This will always not be true, but like 90% of the time. और ये भी, इसका भी अगर मैं शुरू में लगाता तो it would just उल्टा आता ना. It just looks weird when it's ulta. So yeah, just keep it at the end. Most molecules you'll see will keep it at the end, like books वगैरह especially. And once you do it, you realize it's better to put it at the end. It just saves your life. Mohammed Salman, you're sad? You don't want it to be the end, or do you have a question? Anyone have any questions right now? Yeah, man. No questions? Pretty straightforward. How many show of hands are, it just sounds weird? What sounds weird? You can open your mic if you want. Ha. It looks weird, right? Like HO ulta karke likh do to. Well, HO likh do instead of OH. ठीक है, can I move on? Roha is like, yes, this is too simple. Move on. Another thing about carboxylic acids is, you don't have to write this down. अगर इस तरीके से मैं carboxylic acid बना रहा हूँ ना, let's say इसका नाम क्या होगा? कोई मुझे नाम बता इसका? Is going to be what? It's 2 carbons and an acid. इसका नाम होना चाहिए क्या? Fawzia, what do you think? Ira, Ahmed, what you all think?
I know.
Huh? Ira saying ethanoic acid. She's right. ठीक है. Now it's ethanoic acid if this is the case. It's not ethanoic acid. अगर ये यहाँ पे लगने की जगह यहाँ पे किसी ने लगा दिया, I'll actually make this yellow as well. अगर ये किसी ने बना दिया, look, the O and the OH are on different carbons. So this does not chemically behave the same way as this does. There are molecules like this, but हम इतना complicated नहीं करते अपने molecules को. ठीक है, it's not ethanol. ठीक है. This is ethanoic acid. This is not ethanoic acid because it's on a different carbon. The functional group is COOH. माने कि एक ही carbon पे double bonded O होगा और OH होगा. इस exact तरीके से. Now, another thing you'll see a lot is some molecules like this. Sir, इसका क्या नाम होगा? Because you'll see it in the exams. And you'll realize they don't really care about its name or anything. इसमें 2 OH है. ऐसा हो सकता है? बिल्कुल हो सकता है. आपसे कभी ऐसे पूछेंगे चीजें? No. It's only one functional group that they'll ask you to name. जब 2 होते हैं, 4 होते हैं, that's like A levels में चले जाती है बात. But you could have 2 double bonds as well by cutting out extra hydrogens. You can have all of these could be OH. सही है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. तो इस टाइप के मॉलिक्यूल्स देखने को मिलेंगे आपको, तो be ready, but they won't ask you to name it, right? So just be ready. But like it's not difficult or anything. It's like आप मॉलिक्यूल के एक पार्ट को देखते हैं, बोलेंगे भाई ये जो है अल्कोहल कितना बिहेव करेगा, and that's it. All right. All right, one thing I want to talk about is these 4 families के अंदर main characteristics क्या हैं? I'll just write them here. Is their general chemical formula is the same for all of them. What do I mean? Alkenes are always CnH2n plus 2. ठीक है? इसका क्या general formula होगा? इसका क्या, sorry, not general, molecular formula क्या होगा? Let's see if I can figure it out using this formula. This has 3 carbons, so N over here is 3. So it's C3. H कितना होना चाहिए? Well, I put 3 as N and calculated. So essentially 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. इसका general formula ये होना चाहिए. यही है 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. और मैंने 6 लिख दिया because why not? But 8. Does that make sense? Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? So this is the general formula for alkanes. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. This is the general formula for alkenes. अब alcohols and carboxylic acids का तो कभी मुझे I think किसी ने कभी सवाल एग्जाम में तो नहीं आया, right? But I'll write it down anyway, just to have a good idea. But we'll almost never need it. क्या है इसका? CnH2n plus 1 COOH. Now इसका पूरा जो है कार्बन with the double bonded O इन्होंने साथ कर लिया, just to make their general formula easier. So if you want it for जैसे मेथेनोइक आपको पता करना है मेथेनोइक एसिड का which has 1 carbon, so N पे आप क्या डालेंगे? 0 डालेंगे because it's already counting 1 carbon in the formula. If you put 0 over here, ये पूरा कट जाएगा और 0 में से सिर्फ एक हाइड्रोजन बचेगा and फिर ये कार्बन तो रहेगा अपनी जगह, right? So the CnH2n plus 1 is catering to this, whereas COOH यहाँ पे इन्होंने सना करके लिख दिया. What about the others? Which others are you talking about, Salman? I just saw your message, so I don't know what you're talking about. What's the context? Unmute करके सवाल पूछ लो if you can. Does this make sense? This is a summary of your organic families आप जितना करता है. So right now I can tell you octanoic acid बना लो, propanol बना के दो. Right. Okay. ठीक है. You know, अच्छा, again Salman's reiterating it. So इसका आपको पता करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Like I've never seen it come to any use. इन दोनों में बहुत पूछते हैं. और किस तरह पूछते हैं? I'll give you an example. तंग करने वाली बात है. Honestly, it has nothing to do with being smart or being good at organic chemistry. वो बोलते हैं भाई ये लो C40H82, C40H84, C40H80, C40H78. इनमें से कौन कौन से alkanes है, कौन कौन से alkenes है? So you see, like MCQ होगा A B C D, right? एंड इस टाइप का सवाल आएगा, you know, like it's pretty silly. So what you do is, अगर आपके पास 40 कार्बन है, हाइड्रोजन एक एल्केन में कितने होना चाहिए? 40 times 2 is 80 plus 2 82. कौन है इसमें से एल्केन? ये एल्केन हो गया आपका। एल्कीन का क्या होगा? C40H80। कौन सा एल्कीन हुआ? ये एल्कीन। Right? This is the silly stupid questions they ask, so this is why the formula is important. उसके अलावा it's kind of pointless, but it's pretty easy. So yeah, shall we move on? Okay, we're going to talk about something interesting. Now, we've only talked about straight chained molecules. Now, this is C4H10. ठीक है। C4H10 आप क्विकली आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं। अब आप मॉलिक्यूल को देख रहे होते हैं तो एक कंटेनर में आपके पास होता है, आपको उसके बारे में ज्यादा कुछ पता नहीं होता, ठीक है, एज एन उसका एक्चुअल स्ट्रक्चर क्या है। बट C4H10 है, आपने बोला वेल दिस इज यू नो लाइक, आप उसकी फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज वगैरह देखते हैं, सब कुछ आप नोट कर लेते हैं, यू नो लाइक फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज लाइक मेल्टिंग पॉइंट, बॉइलिंग पॉइंट, इस टाइप की चीजें आपने नोट कर लिया, ठीक है। आपने बोला ये C4H10 है, इस तरीके से पता चला। एक और यू नो C4H10 एक और आदमी अलग से अपने पास कंटेनर में होता है, उसके पास वो लेकर आता है, वो बोलता है ये मेरे पास C4H10 है, लेकिन उसका क्या मसला होता है? फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज उसकी डिफरेंट होती हैं, राइट? दीज आर नॉट द सेम, दीज आर डिफरेंट, एंड आप थोड़े परेशान हो जाते हो। आपने बोला भाई ये चाइना का है, यू नो लाइक इसमें मिलावट हुई भी है। दिस आयनाइज्ड ब्यूटेन, दिस इज ब्यूटेन, ओके, ठीक है। अब ये हुआ, बट लाइक यू डू केमिकल टेस्ट, आप बर्न करते हो इसको, जितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड C4H10 ने देना चाहिए था, for every 1 mole it will give you like 4 moles of carbon dioxide, तो ये भी देता है। आपने बोला यार, और पानी भी बराबर दे रहा है, you know, जितना होता है, but chemically it is making sense, this is C4H10, but physically it does not make sense because इसका melting और boiling point different है, थोड़ा बहुत ऊपर नीचे है, and आप परेशान हो जाते हैं भाई ऐसा क्यों है। So it's not easy to put molecules under microscopes, ऐसा आराम से दिखते नहीं है, but you did it anyway. What you realized was the first one that you already knew looked like this. Yeah, man. ठीक है. The other one looked very similar. It looked like this. Now it might look really confusing. What you want to do is squint really hard until all the hydrogens have disappeared and you're only focusing on the carbons. आपने नोट किया कि ये कार्बन सारे एक लाइन में हैं और यहाँ पे ये सारे कार्बन एक लाइन में नहीं है, बीच में ये इस तरह लगा हुआ है। So the first one is butane, the second one is not butane because वो एक straight chain में नहीं है. Is it an alkane? Yes. This is called a branched alkane or a branched hydrocarbon or a branched molecule. This is straight chained. Because organic molecules, you see them as a chain. And this is branched. Okay. Now, this is what isomerism is. These two are isomers of each other. Why is this happening? Well, कार्बन तो लेगो की तरह काम कर रहा है ना, कोई उसे बोल नहीं रहा एक एक लाइन में लगो. कार्बन तो टक 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 जंगलियों की तरह लग जाता है एक बिल्कुल. it can even form something like this, and ये भी आगे जाके like पूरा कार्बन का दीनमान इसका कुछ नहीं है ना, तो ये बिल्कुल गुच्छा बना सकता है इस तरीके से. but those aren't too useful for us. But these straight chained और इनके बीच में थोड़ी differentiation हमें पता होनी चाहिए. For example, physical properties से बहुत change होती हैं, chemical properties not as much. ठीक है? So how do you know you have a molecule that is an isomer or is not an isomer? What do I mean by my question? It should be pretty obvious. This is butane. Now, which of these is butane? Which of these is not butane? Do you think? So ये तो है ही है butane. Let's call them A, B, and C. Which do you think is butane and which is not butane? One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Bear in mind, they're all C4H10. These are all C4H10. If you haven't picked it up, इसके 4 कार्बन्स हैं, इसके 10 हैं. इसके भी 4 कार्बन्स हैं, 10 हाइड्रोजन्स हैं. इसके भी, इसके भी. So which of these is, one of them is not butane? ठीक है. And let's think about it. Let me move on and try to explain it. Let's say there is a chain . Let's say there's a chain. I think I'll post this video on YouTube after this so everyone can take a look. So each chain, जैसे छोटी सी chain होती है, is representing a carbon, and each connection over here represents a bond. So carbon जो है real life में इस तरह straight chain बैठा हुआ नहीं होता. हम draw करते हैं इस तरह, but in real life it can just move around. जिस तरह ये chain can move around. If I pick up this chain, इस तरीके से it'll be a straight line. But if I drop it onto my table, वो दिखने में किस तरह होगी? कुछ भी हो सकती है, कोई भी shape हो जाएगा इसका, जैसा भी हो जाएगा. Now, if I see this for the first time, I'll be confused if this is one straight chain or क्या है. तो मैं किस तरह पता करूंगा? What I'll do is chain के एक-एक part में literally I'll pick up my pencil, put it on the corner and start tracing it. Well, they're all in one line. So that means this chain and this chain are the same chains, right? An easy way to find it out. And if I take a look at this, if I do this, let's say एक और कोने में कहीं गुच्छा पड़ा हुआ है, is it the same chain? Well, if I try to go over here, I cannot count for this link because यहाँ पे सारी links आपस में connect हुई हुई है, यहाँ पे मुझे वापस आना पड़ रहा है. तो this and this aren't the same. These two are not the same. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up if everyone gets it. This is a very important concept to get. Because यहाँ पे आपको समझ आ गया तो isomerism आपका 2 मिनट में आसान हो जाएगा. Everyone gets it? If someone doesn't get it, thumbs down. I'll explain it again. You also ask your question. Good time to ask a question right now. No one has a question? Okay. So if I go back, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the question. Okay. Question are all linked together. Let's see the second one. Are they all linked together? 1, 2, 3. I don't have to lift my pen up. I don't have to double back. So look. So essentially, मैंने यही उठा के इसको उठा के अगर मैंने कहीं गिरा के फेंक दिया, or I left and someone messed around with it, this could turn into this because I can rearrange the shapes, kind of like the chain, literally like this. This chain and this chain are the same chains. Similarly, these two chains of carbon are the same. Is this also the same? Carbon यहाँ से it's hard to see. Look at that, straight chain. यहाँ पे आप कहीं से भी शुरू कर लें. Oh, I cannot go over there now. अगर मैं यहाँ से शुरू करूँ तो I can't go over here. अगर मैं यहाँ से शुरू करूँ, I can't go over to this carbon at the bottom. So this is a branched isomer because clearly I cannot all connect the carbons in one line. This is branched and this is an isomer. Whereas these two are the same molecules. अच्छा, लोग ऐसे भी confuse हो जाते हैं. अगर मैं ये बाकी molecules को हटाऊं यहाँ से, सवाल ये है कि which of these is an isomer? Is this an isomer of this or is this an isomer of this? The last is incorrect. Why? Okay. Why are these isomers? Or like, the question is, it's kind of like asking, let's say, दो बहन भाई हैं. This is the bhai. I'm just trying to draw his hair. Masculine hair, I guess. And bhai बहन है. ठीक है. This boy is a sibling of his sister. This is a sibling of this person, and she is a sibling of this person. दोनों एक दूसरे के siblings हैं. And they're both siblings. मायने कि they're both एक ही माँ बाप की औलाद है, but they're, one's a male, one's a female, but they're different. But they're the same in some category. These two are isomers of each other. And this is also an isomer of this, and this is an isomer of this. A lot like the word sibling. Another word that's used very similar to isomers is the word isotope. जैसे बोलते हैं क्लोरीन के दो आइसोटोप हैं, chlorine 35, chlorine 37. भाई कौन सा आइसोटोप है, कौन सा ओरिजिनल एटम है? ये दोनों एटम्स हैं, ये दोनों एक दूसरे के आइसोटोप्स हैं। जिस समय ये दोनों ऐसे नहीं बोलते ये इसका सिबलिंग है या ये इसका सिबलिंग है, इस समय नहीं बोलता, बोलते ये दोनों सिबलिंग्स हैं, one's a brother, one's a whatever, they're both kids, they're both siblings. ठीक है? So the correct way of saying it is C is an isomer of butane. Everyone gets this? Just like some words to how to use the word isomer correctly. If something has an isomer, मायने के उसके isomer होंगे. There are molecules जिनके isomers नहीं होते. मैथेन का आइसोमर आपको नहीं मिलेगा क्योंकि एक ही कार्बन है। ईथेन का आइसोमर आपको नहीं मिलेगा क्योंकि दो हैं। आप इस कार्बन को यहां से निकालें, कहीं और लगा लें, वो ईथेन दोबारा बन जाएगा। प्रोपेन का भी आइसोमर नहीं होगा। देख लेते हैं। प्रोपेन को ऐसे मैंने किया, चलो ये आखिरी वाला कार्बन तोड़ के मैं इसके ऊपर लगाता हूं। यहां पे लगाया, ओ देखो वही चीज दोबारा बन गई। इट्स अ स्ट्रेट चेन, थ्री कार्बन चेन, प्रोपेन ही हुआ। एंड इट वॉक्स, टॉक्स एंड बिहेव्स एग्जैक्टली लाइक प्रोपेन। ठीक है, does this make sense? Easy? Yeah, people, yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, let's do some questions. I've given everyone a moles workbook. You can open that. Sorry, moles bol raha hu, organic ki workbook. And I'll open that and we'll do alkanes tak ke sare questions. Let's see if we can do it. Organic workbook, moles. Zoom user is entering. Okay, we'll do questions. I think that'll take us 15 minutes, then I'll end it. Did you guys enjoy the class? Was this informative? इसके बाद हम, another class we can do reactions of all of them, and फिर हमारा organic ही खत्म हो जाएगा. So 2 classes में I think we're wrapping up organic pretty well. फिर practice की थोड़ी ज़रूरत है. But this is essentially it, organic का. इसके बाद हम reactions पे focus करेंगे. Where am I? This is a book I've shared with most people. If you haven't had it, if you don't have it, I can actually share a link right now. You can just download it if you all want. This is just topical past papers, right? Nothing fancy. I can't that. What is the chat? So what exactly is isomers? Well, what do you think? It is just a different arrangement of a molecule. That's what an isomer is. Isotope kya hota hai? Different number of neutrons from, yeah. So the families जो मैं बार-बार बात कर रहा था, वो, another word for it is homologous series. So once we know that, can we do question number 1? What you can do is just spam the chat, DMs आप करते रहें private set पे. I want to know how everyone's doing, what their answers are. Make sure once you're done with the question, please put it in the chat. I want to see everyone do it. Because if you're just very passive about it, I'm not going to enjoy that for too long. because it doesn't make for a good class. Some people are saying A, some people are saying B. A lot of people aren't saying anything. So I'll give everyone another minute to do it, but I don't want people quiet. And if they're quiet for too long, एक दो question तो मैं इजाजत दूंगा, but if they're quiet, I'll start kicking people out because ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. Which properties of compounds in a homologous series is correct? They all have the same general formula. That makes sense because alkane is a homologous series and सबका एक ही general formula होता है, general formula, right? They all have the same molecular formula. That's not true because first three alkanes क्या हैं? Methane, ethane, propane. उनका क्या formula होगा? So ये आपकी understanding of alkanes or organic कम पूछ रहा है, ये आपकी understanding of words पूछ रहा है. आपको general formula और molecular formula पता है या नहीं पता? ठीक है? All of them are different. They all have the same number of isomers. हमने जो बात की इन तीनों के तो होते ही नहीं isomers. फिर ब्यूटेन का एक isomer होता है जो हमने ड्रॉ किया. पेंटेन के तो 5 होते हैं, I think ऐसे 4-5 होते हैं. And हेक्सेन के तो उससे भी ज्यादा होता है. Because the more carbons you have, the more places you have to move them around. तो exponentially number of isomers increase हो जाता है. They all have the same number of isomers? No. They all have the same physical properties? No. They have a trend in physical properties हमने बात नहीं की इसकी, but A is the correct answer. ठीक है. Which process is an example of cracking? Cracking हमने किया नहीं, so let's skip this. But people who can do it. Hydride is a compound containing only 2 elements, one of which is hydrogen. Pretty simple question. Which elements forms the greatest number of different hydrides? 2 ka D. We're skipping 2. I don't like cracking actually. Obviously it's A. Carbon के तो खत्म ही नहीं होता ना hydrides. Because carbon बढ़ता रहता है, उसको तो बनते रहेंगे. ठीक है. Volume of ethane, most question. I don't think we have to do it right now. Question 6. अच्छा, unsaturated की बात नहीं की मैंने. Saturated की क्या मायने हैं? Before hydrocarbons, अगर आपने कभी word सुना है saturated, क्या मायने हैं इसके? What does saturated mean? Can someone tell me? Hassan, what do you think? What is saturated? Full of amino acids? No. No double bonds. No. Before organic chemistry, अगर मैं पूछूं saturated क्या होता है? No more solute can dissolve. मायने के it's at its maximum capacity. If you have a saturated solution, like literally if you eat food and if you're full, you can say, oh, I'm saturated. Because you cannot absorb any more food. You cannot eat any more food, right? No one says that, but if you have salt dissolved in water and it cannot dissolve anymore at that temperature, that means it's fully saturated. Saturated means full. Simple as that. Hydrocarbon पे saturated की क्या बात होती है? Hydrogens की. So the maximum number of hydrogens that a molecule can have is an alkane, right? CnH2n plus 2. It's fully saturated with hydrogens. It cannot get any more saturated. No, concentrated has nothing to do with saturation, right? It's the word saturation is it cannot be more, right? ठीक है. So unsaturated in terms of hydrogen की बात हो रही है. अब ये concentration और solution की बात नहीं हो रही. यहाँ पे क्या पूछ रहे होते हैं? भाई, what has the maximum number of hydrogens? That's saturated. Unsaturated is it can absorb more hydrogens. So which do you think is unsaturated? Hydrocarbon. दो चीजें पूछ रहे हैं यहाँ पे. One is unsaturated, the other is hydrocarbon. Well, let's see hydrocarbon कौन कौन सा है. पहला hydrocarbon है? नहीं है. दूसरा हाइड्रोकार्बन है? Yes, it is. तीसरा हाइड्रोकार्बन है? नहीं है. ये भी हाइड्रोकार्बन है. Why is this not a hydrocarbon? It has oxygen in it. Hydrocarbons are only carbon and hydrogen. ठीक है? This has a chlorine if you haven't seen it, if you didn't see it. ठीक है. अब unsaturated कौन सा है? ये this might look unsaturated to people, but it cannot have any more hydrogen. किस पे लगेगा? कहाँ लगेगा? Right? You can't find any more. Alkanes are saturated. B has a double bond, तो ये टूट के दो hydrogens लगा सकता है. So easy way of identifying unsaturated compounds is essentially a double bond. ठीक है, that's your answer. Which statement about isomers of compounds is always correct? They have different empirical formula. Empirical formula क्या होता है? Ratios देता है. अगर molecular formula same है तो empirical formula भी same होगा. So A is wrong. They have different relative molecular mass. They have the same number of carbons and hydrogen. This is wrong. They have only carbon and hydrogen in their molecules. No, it could be oxygens or, you know, alcohol. किसी का भी isomer हो सकता है. They have the same molecular formula. That's true. Easy? All right. So only 3 people answered. And it's Ira, Salman, and Hassan. Nashmia, Rayan, Roha, Fawzia, Ahmad, Abdullah. People, you gotta answer. If you don't answer, I'm gonna start kicking people out even though class is over. But you're less welcome in the next class if you're not responding. There better be a good reason. Our next class is on 5 p.m. at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, but let's do a few more questions. The diagram shows a structural formula for an organic compound. यहाँ पे देखो क्या हो रहा है? Carbon is making that cyclical thing. We don't know what a cyclical thing is, but I think we can still do this question. Is this a saturated hydrocarbon? Yes, it is. It does not have a double bond. In this structure, it cannot get any more carbons. It is an alkene. It has a general formula of an alkene, but it is not an alkene because it does not have a double bond. It looks and walks, talks like an alkene. It's actually an isomer of an alkene, right? It's not, yeah, it's called a cycloalkane. Cyclical. It is an isomer of butane. Well, you'd be like, oh, 4 carbon hai to hona chahiye, but butane has a formula of C4H10. This has 8 hydrogens. So this is wrong because it's not even close to it. Molecular formula same nahi hona chahiye. Isomers ke liye. It will undergo addition with hydrogen. Well, it can't because it is saturated. Must be A. Yes, it is A. All right, number 9. Each series contains saturated compounds. The compounds in each series are unreactive. Each series has a general formula. Each series has a gradation in physical properties. Number 4 we haven't done, but that's true. There is a trend in physical properties. What do you mean by gradation? If you put everything onto a graph, you'll see that there's a slight change throughout. Gradient ban jata. So yeah. 4 is correct. Each series contains saturated. Alkenes mein saturated nahi hota na. Compounds in each series are unreactive. They can be reactive. Each series has a general formula. Yep. 3 and 4. Pretty cool, pretty easy. All right, I think we can end it here. I'll just go with these guys. All right. Pretty easy. What do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy the class? Let me stop the recording.